Hi, I'm Phil at the Soundproofing store, and today we've got something a little bit different for you. We are here at the home of the Soundproofing store, our very own headquarters based in Harrogate in North Yorkshire. And the reason why we're here is instead of being out on site filming the installation of a soundproofing system, we're actually going to be installing some sound absorption panels in our very own meeting room. Now, I think that's going to be very interesting for some of you to see, so we'll head inside and have a look. So we've come inside, and this is the main meeting and training room here at the Soundproofing store headquarters. And the reason we've come in here is because this is the last room in our offices that we've not yet acoustically treated. So we thought this would be a perfect opportunity to film it and show you guys what we do. Now, the problem we have in this room until we've acoustically treated the space is the problem of echo or reverberation. And it's a very common problem in all sorts of spaces like offices, meeting rooms, schools, restaurants, and all sorts of those kind of environments. And the problem is that when you have a space that has hard reflective walls, hard reflective ceilings, hard reflective furniture, when you project a sound inside of that space, just like someone talking, the sound projects out, spreads around the room, it hits those reflective surfaces and bounces back into the room as an echo. So what you're now hearing is the original sound and the echo of that sound. And the more sound that's created and the more surfaces the sound bounces off, the messier and more unfocused that sound becomes. Then add into the fact that we could in this room potentially have 10 people in here all talking, and all of those sounds are all bouncing around the room, and it becomes a bit of a mess, and it's very, very hard to really focus on what you should be focusing on. And this is a particular problem in school classrooms with children trying to listen to what their teacher's saying, but the sound is bouncing all over the room and it becomes very, very hard to concentrate. So how do we solve that problem? Well, we solve it by using what we call acoustic treatment or sound absorption. And this is where you add soft absorbing panels around the room. They can be fixed to the walls, they can be suspended from the ceilings. And what they do is they add more absorbing material to the room. So now when you project the sound out, it hits the sound absorption and it stays there instead of bouncing back into the room as an echo. And the higher performing that sound absorption is, the less of it you need in the room. You don't need to completely cover the whole space, but just a little bit in the room makes the sound much clearer and much easier to focus on. Now, just to explain, as I've been talking to you, you've probably not really been able to hear how bad the echo in the room is. And that's because we're using a very clever microphone, which only picks up the sound that's very close to it. So you're hearing my voice, but you're not really hearing the sound around the room. Whereas to me, in this room, it's very, very echoey in here. So what we're going to do is switch the sound now to another microphone that's in this room. And this is actually recording the sound for the whole of the room. And you can probably really hear the difference. So now I'm going to give you a really good example so you can compare the sound now to the sound after we've treated the room. So I'm going to clap my hands together and listen to how long it takes for the sound of that clap to completely disappear. So what we'll do now is we'll get installing the sound absorption panels. We're going to show you what they are, tell you a bit about them, show you how simple they are to install, and then we'll do a comparison. So this is a ProSound Acoustic Wall Panel. Now, this is one of our Class A acoustic wall panels, which means it's 40 millimeters thick, and it's basically filled on the inside with a 40 mil insulating core. And the idea with that core is when the sound hits it, that sound gets stuck inside and absorbed and doesn't bounce back out into the room. Now, our Class A at 40 mil means that they absorb 90 to 100% of the sound that hits them. So it really makes a massive, massive difference. Now, over that insulating core, it's covered with what we call an acoustically transparent fabric. So the sound can pass through the fabric very easily and into that core. Now the fabrics are class 1 as standard for fire, which means they're very, very safe, but can be supplied in class 0 for specific situations where needed. And the beauty of these panels is that they're manufactured right here in the UK to order. We don't just keep a stack of them on a shelf somewhere. They are made to your shape, size, and color requirements. And for that reason, because they're on the surface and you can see them, unlike with soundproofing, you can make that fit the aesthetics and the interior design of your room. So you can have a few very large panels, or you can have lots and lots of very small panels. They can be in diamond shapes, they can be in rectangles, triangles, anything that you want to create a pattern. And of course, the color can be adapted to fit things like corporate branding, if it's for a meeting room, or just to fit the aesthetics of the room that you're in. In this case, we're going with a mixture of red and white, because that fits the Soundproofing store brand colors. So we're going to get this on the wall and show you how it's done. So we're going to get started installing this first panel, and we're going to show you this one in detail so you can follow exactly how we're doing it. But this really is a very simple DIY installation. We're just doing this ourselves with very basic DIY tools. So the first thing we're going to do is measure the space of the wall. We're going to put one panel on this piece of wall between these two windows. So we just want to measure the width and the height so we can work out where we need to put the panel to be central on the wall. Okay, so now we've held the panel up against the pencil markings so we know it's in the right position. And I'm just going to lightly draw a faint pencil mark around the edge of the panel. I'm going to do it on the other side as well. And I'll also get up on the stepladder and do the top so we know exactly where the panel is supposed to be when we bring it back down to do the adhesive. So the next stage is to mark onto the wall where we want the clips to go. So what we're going to do is have them so they land roughly about halfway up the panel and a little bit in from the edge either side. So they're basically going to land about there. But we're going to mark that out onto our wall so we know where to drill. So we're going to start drilling. The first thing to note is that we do have some sockets and things here. So we just needed to make sure that there's no cables. We've checked that there's no chasing wires anywhere near where we're going to be fixing or drilling in. Want to make sure that we're being safe. One last tip, made a little marker with some tape on the drill bit to make sure I'm drilling in the right length and we're not over drilling into the wall. And because we're fixing into a solid wall, we're going to use wall plugs. So now it's just a case of lining the clip up with the holes and screwing in our screw. Now the impaling clips actually hold the panels really well, but it is best practice just to make sure that they don't start coming away from the wall to adhere the panels to the wall. So we're going to spray around the pencil template that we've done so we know where the panel is, and we're also going to spray the back of the panel itself. And the last step is to hold up the panel, push it against the wall, being careful of the adhesive that you've just sprayed on. All right. There we go, and that's panel 1 fully installed. To answer a couple of commonly asked questions, first of all, we do get asked a lot about how robust and how tough the panels are. And although the core is soft to absorb sound, it is actually very robust. You're not going to damage them very easily. Now, if this is a situation where you're looking to use panels in something like a sports hall with very regular high impact, we do also have an even tougher high impact sports panel that you can look at as well. We'll leave a link to that in the description. Second question is about using these in an office as a notice board or pin board. And yes, absolutely, you can. So that's it, all the panels are up. Didn't take too long at all, and as you can see, it was a very simple, very straightforward installation with minimal toolage required. It's really made a massive difference here in the room. One, to the aesthetics, to be honest. It's gone from being a pretty dull, plain magnolia room to having these colours that are really popping. They're on brand with the brand of the company, which is great. And to the sound, it's just completely changed. It no longer feels like I'm talking in a fishbowl, hearing my own voice, my own words bouncing back at me. It now feels very clean and very focused. It's almost like the atmosphere in the room has changed. It's a little bit like when you go to a cinema, and as soon as you walk through the cinema doors, it's like the atmosphere is different because everything's really clean and dry in terms of the acoustics. So it's really transformed the space. If you've got a space which is really echoey, whether it's a village hall, a school, a meeting room, anything like that, and you're struggling with the same kind of problem, these panels are really going to absolutely transform the space. Now in this space, because it's quite a small room, we did only install wall panels going around the perimeter, which is absolutely fine. If you've got a bigger space like a village hall, then do look at our acoustic rafts or baffles as well, which are the same panels but suspended down from the ceiling. So that's going to cover a much wider area where it's further away from the walls. So just like before, what we're going to do is switch the sound from my microphone on here to the room microphone. So hopefully now you can hear the sound in the room, which is far less echoey. And we're going to do another clap test and compare to before. Are we ready? So hopefully you can really tell the difference between before and after. And if you are in a situation or know a place that is suffering with the same problem of echo and reverberation in the room, spoiling those acoustics, then please do give us a call, get in touch, and we can help you work out exactly what you need, put together a plan, and supply you with all those sound absorption panels that you need for your space.